Most people struggle to respond when somebody asks the all too familiar question, what do you do? And because of that, they're missing out on marketing opportunities every day. My name is Kurt Stockwell, and as a StoryBrand certified guide with over 11 years of marketing experience, I've helped hundreds of businesses create marketing that actually works. You're listening to the One-Liner Workshop podcast, and in every episode, you'll learn how to create a powerful one-liner that'll make people want to do business with you. Kibbee Walton is a professional photographer and owner of Artisan Portrait. Kibbee's biggest struggle when answering the question, what do you do, is effectively getting across the importance of investing in professional photos for your family. He has a passion for people, and making that real connection is critical to his success. So in about 15 minutes, Kibbee and I will create an impactful one-liner to make the vital connection he's looking for.
The main piece of our business and the main messaging of our business is the family portraits, creating sort of those lasting, timeless, elegant, like that finished piece that's going to hang on the wall and is going to be there for years and years and years to come. So really pushing away from, I think the market is super saturated with folks that, have a nice camera and are good at snapping pics. And, we want to really push into the higher end of that market where clients are looking for a much higher level of service, much more experience-based portrait session. And then also at the end, having really nice, artistic, nice compositions, nice color, professionally produced and finished with a frame, the whole thing. Like, here's the finished piece that you can hang in your home.
Do you feel like there's been a departure from hanging a quality photo portrait on your wall?
Oh, for sure. I think that, we started, I've been in the industry since the late 90s, started my own studio in 2006. And then, through all that, the technology has advanced and cameras have become more accessible. And I think, when we were growing up, there was this mystique of like this mystery of nobody really knew how that worked or what really had to happen. So they had to go to a professional because they were the only ones that really understood the cameras and the film and everything else, right? And then digital comes along and it kind of drops that barrier of entry, and lots of people are grabbing a camera and going, "Hey, I'm a photographer too," which is great. Like, we all start somewhere, right? And there's been incredible artists that have come out of that. But to your point, I think that slowly, and I think our industry is guilty of it, that the portrait photography industry has almost kind of, let the inmates lead the asylum a little bit. And the fact of like, all of a sudden we felt like, hey, this is good enough. This is fine. And snapping a pic or just taking a picture, well, it's the same thing. It's no big deal. Like, we have that. We can take pictures. I see my kids all the time. Like, I think that there has been a sort of shift and maybe a misleading of, for me, I feel like, our industry almost kind of let people believe like, yeah, okay, yeah, I guess it's the same.
So the reason for my question, what we want to do is we want to diagnose a problem that anybody can recognize.
Right.
So whether the person on the other side of the conversation, when somebody asks, what do you do, is your client, or they know somebody who is your client, they want to be able to very easily understand it. And they also want to be able to repeat it. So we need to come to an understanding of we need to land on this a problem that anybody recognizes. And what I hear you saying is properly preserving those important chapters of our family's life is not being done anymore.
Right.
Would you agree to that?
Yeah, because it's not being done enough, for sure.
And so do you feel like, have you had clients come into your shop and afterwards just be like, we're so thankful for this because it's been way too long. We've got a whole decade that we don't really have great photos of our family, and our family hasn't been hanging on the walls because they're trapped in our phones. Another thing too with these phones is we take all these fantastic pictures and then they just sit on the phone or they sit in the cloud and there's never anything done with it. So without being intentional, these great photos are never seen. And so creating a solution or a problem that anybody can recognize I think how we formulate that is somewhere along the lines of most families don't have great portraits hanging on the wall, and it's something around the formulating the idea that we're missing the important chapters of our life.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that would resonate with people?
Yeah, I think that's a great opening, because it's, you know how a lot of people don't do this. And I think most people would go, well, yeah.
Maybe we say something like, too often we do not properly preserve the most important chapters in our family's life.
Right.
So we've opened up this problem, and people very quickly could go, yeah, I'd say that that's accurate. Are you a memoirist? Are you a, what does that mean? So very quickly we need to get into, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, it seems like it opens up a curiosity of like, wait, what? Tell me more. Why?
Yeah,
I like that.
So you need to very quickly then introduce, like, what do you do? What title do you give yourself? A photographer?
A portrait artist. Yeah, we don't. Yeah, we don't call me a photographer. So yeah, portrait artist.
Now I want to challenge you on not saying that you're a photographer, because if you said a portrait artist,
right?
Do people know what that means?
Fair.
Yeah.
Probably not.
Yeah. So if you said as a photographer or as a professional photographer, and then how you uniquely solve that problem. And here's the big struggle with, and why these conversations are fun, is because sometimes we like to give ourselves the proper title. That is the proper title for you. You are a portrait artist. Mm-hmm. But does the average person know what a portrait artist is?
Fair.
So what if we said something like this? As a professional photographer, I make it easy for families to capture these special times.
Yeah.
So again, we open with, too often we do not properly preserve the most important chapters in our family's life. So you've opened up the idea that there's something wrong that I can recognize immediately, because I'm like, oh yeah, where are you going here? Because I want that for my family. I don't want to miss out.
I want to properly preserve stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And so as a professional photographer, and they're like, okay, professional photographer, I'm with you. I make it easy for families to capture these special times. Mm-hmm. Right. And so what you do that's unique is you make it easy for them.
Yeah. I like it. I like to make it easy. That makes sense.
Now, what is how do families feel? How do people feel when this is, that's kind of the last piece of it. Problem, how I uniquely solve it, the future success, or how do people feel when this whole thing is done?
I think one of the things that we've landed on recently is cherish, cherish these portraits for a lifetime. I think that a lot of times, as you mentioned before, when this subject comes up, many people have, or they just remember, they either have had a lot of not great experiences, bad experiences, or they've been through an experience where they just didn't really love the end result. And so, if they shot something from a friend or had somebody of lesser skills, qualifications, whatever, and they never actually had anything finished and framed and hung on the wall because they didn't like it, right? It just didn't turn out right. It didn't turn out good. And so I think that happy ending piece has been like that reassurance of like, you'll have a beautiful portrait you'll cherish for a lifetime.
So I like the word cherish. So what if we wrapped it up like this? As a professional photographer, I make it easy for families to capture these special times so that years from now, they'll be proud they invested in the moments they cherish most.
Sounds really clean. I like it. This is well timed. We're heading into our first expo of the home show expo season, setting up a booth at the show tomorrow. So this will be great, like kind of little tidbits to help find that messaging for tomorrow.
I wonder if you could even have like a big banner or like one of those stand-up banners or something that you typically see in like a trade show booth, and just put the problem, big letters. Too often we do not properly preserve the most important chapters in our family's life. Just that just state the problem. Mm-hmm. And that would draw people in like, oh yeah, you're right. We don't. you know, and then when they kind of come in, then their conversation is like, how do you make it easy? You know, you're talking about how we make it easy. So you'll have pride. You're the things you want to cherish, you know, or if you have the space, you could even put the whole one-liner in that big banner, or that, you know, one of those collapsible stand-up banners.
Yeah. Huh. I like it. But I could see where if that was there for them to read, you know, they'd look at it, they'd read it. It'd be like, ooh.
I think it hits everybody between the eyes because they're like, we don't, you know, we don't do a good job of that. I think most people would, again, reason why we want to make it simple for anybody to understand is most people would feel the guilt of that statement, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but
awesome.
You're there to solve it. Good job, Kibbee.
Yeah. Sweet, man.
Hey, thanks brother. I hope this helps out, and let me know how the trade show goes.
Will do, man.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Appreciate it. Talk to you soon.
Yeah. Well, that's all for this episode. Thank you so much for listening. Follow the One-Liner Workshop wherever you listen to podcasts. And remember, businesses that succeed in today's marketplace invest in clarity and reject confusion. A one-liner is the first step in creating marketing that works. And if you're ready to take all your marketing to the next level, please visit welldressedwalrus.com and schedule a free consultation with me. I'll see you next time for the next episode of the One-Liner Workshop.